What did OKC prove to you last night? Yeah, there's nothing to worry about.
What they proved is, while I'm excited for the rest of the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm excited to watch the NBA Finals, this NBA season is over. What they proved last night is they are the 2025 NBA champions.
Wow.
Now, I will not go as far as some others in the media and my dear friend and colleague Danny Parkins, which is already talking dynasty and how many championships. It feels premature, especially considering this Oklahoma City team with this same general manager once upon a time had a pretty up-and-coming big three on the verge of an NBA Finals and never got back there. And they actually, after that season, those big three never played together again. However, the reason I bring up the KD, Russ, Harden big three from 2012, with the only time the Thunder been to the finals, is the big three for Oklahoma City last night did something that big three never did. Those three guys, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, never scored as many points, if we can show it, in a game as these three guys did yesterday.
Wow.
And that's stunning, right?
It is. I mean, Harden came off the bench, but still he was scoring.
And KD was already an MVP caliber player. Russ was one of the most electric guys. And they are, Brew, to me, the combination of going through the best player in the world in 7 games in Joker and then winning that game last night when that could have been a series and now it won't be, is compressing the age curve that we've been worried about. You know what I mean? Like they are getting...
And the competition that's left.
Exactly right. They are getting extra experience within one playoff run, and they don't have a champion waiting for them in Boston on the other side. And so, listen, throughout the regular season, they were the best team. Yep. You and I both thought the Lakers could present a unique problem for them. Maybe we would have been right. It would have been interesting, but the Lakers couldn't get through Minnesota, and Minnesota's now getting clocked by Oklahoma City. And for them to be able to sustain a game when Minnesota gets 64 points off the bench, 64 bench points because Oklahoma City's stars last night, they're going to win the championship.
Wow.
I tend to agree. You know, I will take a page out of Nick Wright's book. Okay. In the next round, should the Pacers get there.
Yeah.
I will be pulling for Knocktown. But I just think OKC, they look too good. Yeah. They look too good. I mean, they really do. They look great.
What do you mean?
Well, you did it too.
When?
Yesterday. I challenged you on it. You said you doing the same thing.
I was just trying to make you guys feel better, but after 24 hours to think about it.
The Knicks will be interesting. Knicks, it would be interesting to see them play OKC, but we'll see who wins the East. But what also, Nick, and this is something this is like individually, the big three of Durant, Harden, and Westbrook was better than this big three, like individually.
Yes.
Durant's the best.
Sure.
We'll see if SGA challenges him. Look, he is, it appears en route to doing something Durant really never showed he could do, which is lead a team to a championship. But still, it's going to take a lot more for him to pass Durant in the all-time rankings. Westbrook, obviously, iconic. And Harden, iconic to some degree. You know, so those three individually are better than this three. But this big three as a whole, you have to say, assuming they complete the deal and win it, is better than that big three was. They will have won a championship. I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but it feels this way. They will have won a championship, and what they do is they all fit together. And this is a problem in the big three era, particularly of player-generated big threes, is they always don't fit. Like Magic, Kareem, and Worthy fit. Bird, Parrish, and McHale fit. These three fit. They all do different things.
Michael, Pippen, and Rodman.
They fit. Right.
Because they're all very different players.
Yes, and so Shea can be his best self. Yeah. And Jalen can at the same time be his best self. And Chet can be his best self, which we saw last night. And as far as dynasty, because the game.
My goodness gracious.
No, but seriously.
I thought we were just going to analyze the game.
But this is good. This is good talk.
Oh, okay.
They are. We'll have to see if it's done because people were already saying Boston was going to be a dynasty, right? So they got to go out and do it. But they are set up. When you look at these three guys, how young they are, Chet is not. Chet might be 70% of the player he will become, if that. Jalen is probably going to get better as he gets more confident, as he gets more swagger.
Shai just has to
and Shai
maintain.
is what he
Shai
is.
doesn't need to get better. Shai
and he
just has
still
to
may get better,
Yep.
though. His three-point shot probably will become better.
Last night might have been the best game of his career.
Yeah. He was
once you consider the stakes of it, you know what I mean, everything about it, 49 and 10 in a game to either put a stranglehold on the series or to have it all of a sudden be a best of three.
It could have been anybody's series. They showed heart, too. They showed heart in that they had 19 offensive rebounds, which was huge.
Yes.
They are not a great rebounding team. That would be one of their weaknesses, if you will, is rebounding. Minnesota is a top 5 rebounding team, and yet last night, season kind of on the line because if Minnesota wins, it's anybody's series now. If they win, it's over, which it is now. They went out and hit the boards, which is something they usually don't do. So they showed a lot of heart as well.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You think we're getting ahead of ourselves?
We're talking about
No. Well, Brew and I both said, I think, that we're not ready to talk about dynasty or even them repeating.
I do think they're set up well for it. I'm not saying I'm picking them
listen,
yet, but
they're young and they're
really
together, and they
got a great front office.
But the point,
as they lose some of
the point that I made
pieces.
to Danny off the air in the hallway today was it's the same front office when you had KD Durant. Or KD, Harden, and Russ, will they pay money? Will they end up, trading away pieces? That's
But
to me,
those guys, like Harden left, Durant left, and they were injured a lot. Remember,
Sure.
we don't want to get into it, but
that's
Serge
always
Ibaka's out, and Westbrook's out, and Durant's out 1 year.
The point that I'm making, though, is what I don't think we're ahead of ourselves on is, to me, that's the story of last night is, can anyone beat this team 4 times? And I don't think anyone is going to – I don't think there's any – I think this series is over. And I do not think, with respect to the Knicks and the Pacers, that either one of them are going to be able to put up more resistance than Minnesota, which is down 3-1, or Denver, which pushed them to the brink and then lost.
It's just, there's a bit of a whiplash
upset.
effect for me from them losing by 42 and Ant, which we'll talk about now, Ant going crazy to Ant disappearing, and maybe we're on the doorstep of a dynasty. So we'll talk about Anthony Edwards now. He came into this game averaging more points in Game 4s than anyone in the history of the NBA, 35 points a game, more than Jordan and the logo Jerry West. I was expecting a huge game. He responded by making 5 shots from the field and ended the night with 16. But according to Ant Brew, he did not struggle. Here we go.
Well, unacceptable, that performance.
Really?
Any superstar is crushed for putting that performance up.
Yeah.
I get where he's coming from in that he says he didn't struggle. We're looking at it, though, like, because he feels like, he did have 5 turnovers, which is bad. But he just wasn't engaged. He was like a boxer in a championship fight who never throws the haymaker. He's always looking for it, but never lets his hands go. And then after the fight, you say, dude's defense was great. I mean, he had me off balance. That's what this was. And here is the question, Nick, that we have to, I don't know the answer. I have one that I hope is right, but it's open now. One of 2 things appears to be true with Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
One, is this youth, 23 years old? We've seen LeBron, his first finals against the Spurs, he struggled. Shot 35% from the field. Larry Bird, his first finals, when they actually won, he had back-to-back 8-point games where he shot 3 for 11 in both games. So this can be overcome.
That's the one you hope it is.
I hope it's youth. Because he's still clearly learning the game. And I don't agree with him, but I get what he's saying in that I didn't struggle because I wasn't like 5 for 27, but we kind of we'd rather you be 5 for 27 and go out swinging than to just take it. He took what the game gave him. Their defense was great on him. They wanted the other guys to beat you, and they almost did. The role players were fantastic, but he did. That's what I hope it is. Youth. He's talked about defenses confounding him and befuddling him and all that. So hopefully it's youth. The other option, though, is this a competitive flaw that's going to dog him the rest of his career, i.e. James Harden? And I don't mean is Ant just out there having fun? Is Ant just out, not realizing I need to take over. I can't just take what the game. What other star does this? Just takes what the game. You got to go and get it. But Halliburton's a different type of player. Okay, that's the thing. Ant's not Magic Johnson.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Ant is not going to dominate the game by passing. Halliburton can do that, and I'm not saying Halliburton's Magic, but Magic could take 5 shots and dominate the game because he was a passer. Halliburton can kind of, that's his game too.
Fair. That's a better point.
Ant is a scorer. We pencil you in for 27 points a night. You gave us 16. You didn't take your first shot till there were 35 seconds left in the first quarter, and we're down 9.
So can I?
So I just think that I hope it's the youth. But not realizing, not seizing the moment, not even trying to seize the moment I hope it's not a competitive flaw.
Can I give a softer take?
Okay.
They scored 126 points. That if you're the reason I mentioned that is I agree. We'd rather you go 5 for 27 than 5 for 13 if your team's offense isn't working. If you're the best player and it's hey, man, nothing's working. They scored 41 actually in the fourth quarter. They did not. The Timberwolves offense was excellent in this game. And a part of that, in my opinion,
they were down big.
They were briefly down 11, but they were consistently down 7 to 9 points seemingly the whole game. But it wasn't like they were down 20-something and then they came back. That was a 3-possession game essentially the whole time. And one of the reasons, now the role players made some amazing layups at the rim and some tough shots, the threes. But a lot of that was because Oklahoma City sold out on stopping Ant, and it actually, in a weird way, I think worked for Minnesota's offense. They scored 126 with Oklahoma City going all out, and it took the greatest 3-person performance in the history of the Thunder franchise to beat them by 2.
He only has 6 assists. It's not like he was out there dishing.
Oh, no. I'm not arguing
and
that.
And the 5 turnovers.
It felt to me like Oklahoma City's game plan was anyone but Anthony Edwards is going to beat us. We're going to force the ball out of his hands. And the point I'm making is I would be more critical if he had this performance and other guys weren't stepping up. But if it's okay, you guys are forcing me to get rid of the ball, and when I do that, we're making shots. Dante's getting off. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker has his best game.
Jaden McDaniels was great. Even Rudy was good.
And so I'm not quite. I'm disappointed too. As you know, I picked the Thunder Wilds, but I was rooting for the Timberwolves. I am also. I have to make this point because I've made it many times before, and this is another reminder. No better life in the sports world than the second best player on a team.
Randall?
Julius Randle makes all the money too, he was bad.
He was terrible. If one of their stars had been good, decent. I think they would have won. I want to give Ant some advice, real talk. And I'm not trying to be funny. You guys are going to laugh when I say, Ant, you need to develop a mid-range pull-up jumper. Because he is either shooting the 3 or going all the way to the rim. That makes you easier to guard because if I'm defending you and now you're past the 3-point line, I know you're going all the way to the rim. You are not stopping on a dime and pulling up for a nice J. Kawhi, SGA, Durant, so many of the best scorers even still have that mid-range pull-up. I'm not just talking about catch and shoot, pull up. If you can stop on a dime and pull it, that makes you, then you're a 3-level scorer. Rim, mid-range, 3. Right now, he's a 2-level scorer for the most part, and that makes him easier to defend.
That wasn't that funny.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.